Good afternoon, all. Thank you for taking the time to be with us today. I'm Allison Scarborough, Consolidated Planning Group. Today we are here with Friends of CPG, Gayle Fisher and Barbara Knighton. And what I will tell you is these two are a powerhouse. They are special needs parents themselves, and pretty much professional advocates when it comes to advocacy for our loved ones with disabilities. So today what we're going to be talking about is rethinking jobs and life in developmental delay. And they've got a lot of information for us today. So I always like to cover the housekeeping items right off the bat. We are in webinar mode today, which means that we can't see you or hear you. Oftentimes, these presentations are also posted on our podcast. And so anybody that's listening to this in the future on the podcast and would like a copy of the slides, you can reach out to cpgcares.net and request a copy of the slides, and we will get that to you. So everybody that's registered for today is going to get a copy of today's slides and a link to the recording so you can share with other families or other professionals that this might be helpful for. And then you also don't have to take notes on everything that you hear today as well. We're always happy to share our slides. No monopoly on great ideas, for sure. So for those of you that are joining us for the very first time, Consolidated Planning Group is a holistic special needs financial planning firm. We're nationally certified as Social Security advisors, members of the Special Needs Planning Academy, chartered special needs consultants. Our whole firm is nuanced in helping you plan for the future of a loved one with a disability. For our professionals that are here today, for our professionals that are serving families with loved ones that have a disability, people come to us because they want to know who's going to care for my child when I'm gone. How much money do we need to fund a special needs trust? What are public benefits available to us? When and how should we apply? What should we do? And more importantly, what should we not do as parents? I too am a parent of multiple adult children with disabilities, and I can say as a parent that oftentimes we're often thinking, how do I not mess this up? We're not trying, we're all smart people, but the stuff that we do as parents, everything over around it through from education, from public benefits, from planning for the future, housing, schooling, all that kind of stuff. It's a lot. And there's a lot of nuances with this. So we try to make things a little bit easier when planning, for the future of your loved one. We always say, whether you work with us or you work with somebody else, work with a professional that is specifically nuanced with special needs. When you don't, they can accidentally mess you up. There's so many rules and regulations as it surrounds Medicaid, Medicaid waivers, SSI, and other programs. And when we're working with somebody that really doesn't have an understanding of these programs, it's not intentional. They don't intend to mess things up. It's because of the lack of understanding that sometimes that happens. So we help people put lifetime care plans in place, transition planning. We help establish ABLE accounts. We do those future costs of care. How much money do I need to fund a special needs trust for my child's future care? We, again, are nationally certified as Social Security advisors, members of the Special Needs Planning Academy. We have the only software out there that takes into consideration a disabled adult child under a parent's record, and it tells us exactly when and how to pull the trigger on our Social Security to maximize benefits for ourselves. And if you're married, yourself and your spouse, as well as your disabled adult child or children if you have more than one. So these decisions are important. And just so you guys know, I think the numbers are pretty high. Like 98% of people claim their Social Security incorrectly, meaning they're leaving money on the table. So it is important to look at that. So having said all that, we always talk about developing a future care plan. We ask that people don't wait. And I say, hey, it's not about beating yourself up about what you haven't done. You're here today, and that's awesome. But develop this plan when you're of sound mind and body. Don't wait for the crisis to happen, an early death. Somebody becomes incapacitated. Somebody has a heart attack. Somebody has a stroke. Somebody loses the ability to provide the caregiving services that you once did. that's when the decisions that are made are not always what you had in mind. And so we do encourage people to start early when it comes to this. When it comes to transitioning into adulthood, we suggest researching post-high school options early. Is this an 18 plus program through the public school? Is this a private transition program, also known as ISS? They used to call them day hab programs. What's out there? Do you need to get on waiting lists for things like this? And a lot of times the answer is yes. So, looking at these things, touring residential living situations, and that might not be in the plan right now, but touring early will allow you to get yourself on the list and the right to say yes. And it might be 3 to 5 years before you come up on that list. So looking at that and realizing that one day we aren't going to be able to provide the caregiving services that we once did. One day we may not physically be able, health wise, to do that. And then the other consideration that I think about that, there's no right or wrong answer. I have some families that'll say, my child's going to live with me until the day I die. And I have some people that say, well, when they turn 18, I want them to have some autonomy from me. Maybe that's age 25. There's no right or wrong answers. But what my suggestion is that we dip our toe in along the way. Maybe it's summer camps, a sleepaway week-long camp, or other places, or touring these facilities that will allow you to do a 2 day test run or something like that. Because what we have found is that when our loved ones, nobody deals with change well, but people with disabilities or on the spectrum are, frontal lobe stuff, the change is much more drastic than it would be to your neurotypical individual. So if we're dipping our toe in along the way, that's getting them used to it. Where it becomes hard is mom dies at 80 and they have a 60-year-old disabled adult child who's lived with mom the whole time. He's lost his mom, he's lost his house, he's lost everything he's ever known. And then he's put in a new environment and it's super, super scary. So we do suggest avoiding that if you can. And then the last thing that we want to mention, and we always mention this, and I'm sorry if I sound like a broken record, but be careful on who you're naming as successor caregivers, successor guardians. We're not always a huge fan of the siblings being the future caregiver. Not all siblings are capable of doing that. Other siblings may have a spouse, they may have children, they may have disabled children of their own, they may have a very demanding job or other things going on that render them not the ideal future caregiver. What we like to see is a funded special needs trust that's going to pay for future care and in a some type of living situation where that trust is paying for that care, and then the siblings can have a loving relationship as opposed to an obligatory relationship that might become problematic. So we always like people to consider, and again, I'm not stepping on anybody's toes here. So if we got, some people's family situations are different. There might be stepkids, there might be kids that have a 15 or a 20-year age difference, so your situation might be different. But a lot of times our kids are similar ages, they're not too far apart. So if your loved one with a disability is aging, the sibling is too. So those are all considerations that we need to be thinking about. So having said that, I have said enough. I am glad that everybody is all here. We invite you to put your questions in the chat box today. We're going to get to as many as possible. We did have a couple of write-in questions that I will ask as we're going through the presentation. And having said that, I am going to turn it over to both Gayle and Barbara. And thank you so much for being here. We're looking forward to hearing what you have to say today.
Awesome. So Barbara told me I'm supposed to start. uh, um, we're, if you had joined us last earlier this year, some of these slides might be familiar to you. We've added some new stuff, and those would probably be the concepts that we want to focus on today, given that we want to work your questions in. So you see Barbara's email there, you see mine, we have websites, we have a wide acreage that between Barbara's world and my world, and then the people that we use that we cover. And we're very happy to share. Okay, so We do this once a month. Please come to our Zoom. As a Facebook. There's a web page, and we have a collection each month of just professionals, who's going to be saying what are ideas. We don't want to reinvent the wheel. Let's share. And in many cases, these are people you'd pay for. So I know that John's budget is sharing all of the wise people that help him. Barbara, yeah, go ahead. You want to say something? Allison, they can only see Barbara. I'm okay with that, but I just wanted you to know.
That's fine, Gayle. If you want to do your overview and your introduction, then I'll do mine.
Yeah, okay. So here's a little bit of background. We're strangers to hardly any of you. You know where to find us. We want to help you. If we don't get to it all today, we're here for you. So Barbara, go ahead and talk about your.
All right. Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Barbara Knighton. I'm the parent to a 22-year-old young man that has recently aged out of the public education system. And I will go into more detail about that in a little bit. Going on this journey with Joshua along the way, I've been in many, many leadership roles, and I'm currently the vice chair of the Texas Council for Developmental Disabilities, or TCDD. And Joshua attended Texas School for the Blind and Visually Impaired for TSPVI for 7 years. And so I also have helped the school for many, many years, and I'm continuing to be a family leader mentor for them as well. And Gayle and I are both in North Houston, the Woodlands area.
And a little bit there, that paragraph, I like to get out into the community different, whereas she is more with politics, but I get a little bit of that, but maybe more local, municipal wise, county wise, first responders for some of the teams that I help to poke the beehive on. Angela Campos is our virtual assistant. God bless her. She puts out our newsletters and does a lot to help our teams.
So the bottom line is you two are veteran moms, and you guys had kids that were aging out. They were turning 18 and becoming adults. And the question that a lot of families have is, what's next? What are we going to do next? And how do we keep growing and keep moving and keep being the best that we can be, the best that they want to be? And how do we help them reach their goals? And I say that intentionally, their goals. As parents, we all have goals for our kids. And sometimes what we want for their kids, and we all know this if we've had teenagers, right? What we want or what our ideas are not at all what their ideas are. So I know that you guys have really worked collaboratively with your kids and their capabilities, as well as what they want. And a lot of this is born out of that. And quite frankly, there is a disjointed, there are a lot of resources in the state of Texas for families that have a loved one with special needs, but they're not all in one place. They're scattered, and you can't always find them. And unless you have lots and lots of hours to devote into this, it is a struggle. It is a struggle. So I love that you guys have put this together. So tell us more about this and what you guys are doing.
So there is an actual LLC set up with some advice from wise people that John pays money to, that will eventually be his adult business. And currently we're using that name under the Collaborative for Rethinking Jobs and Developmental Delay. So as we're trying to use corporate tools, official tax tools, we're also trying to use it in a way that will benefit everybody, right? So we're kind of using this in more than one way. So the collaborative is a group of people, and it's also an LLC, and it's a website and it's a Facebook group. We're always trying to share the ideas, bring in the people that are helping us, share them with you. John was on the farm. We put him to work doing farmer boy stuff, right? I grew up on a farm. But then we also have, and there's a lot of organizations here locally that use agricultural or the rural community. I think my son is really more raised for the walk someplace or drive his golf cart someplace. But also down there bottom are two places that I have been personally, and if I could just suck those babies up and plop them down in my front yard, they would be the business model that I most admire of true community inclusion, true walk-in customers and training and an open forum where our kids could go in and share all of their skills and wares. So that's always the goal. How can you pay for it? Where does the money come from? How do you maintain the sunk costs? Are you married to a retail place? What's your kids going to do to enable themselves to master it, so that it's not like I want another job, right? I want him to step into his future. Personally, I want to travel more, but I can drag him along. So it's shared experiences. Barbara, what would you like to add?
Well, I guess starting on that and transition, we'll start kind of starting with transition for Joshua, an overview of him. So we did start in our local school district, Conroe ISD, when he was 14 with transition services, kind of looking what's out there in 7th and 8th grade, figuring out where he's going to be, what he needs. And at that time, we figured the local school district. We found out after having the outreach team from TSBVI come out that that wasn't the best educational placement for him. Joshua needed lower staff ratios. He needed one-on-one therapies. He needed a smaller class environment, and he needed to be with true peers. So that time in 8th grade, that's when the referral was made for him to go to Texas School for the Blind in Austin. It is a residential school. They do come home on weekends. So he did all his high school years there and all the way through their 18 plus program, which he recently graduated from. But when he was back here home in the community, learning never stopped. So we worked at the Montgomery County Food Bank. We've done stuff at home. We always made gift bags for staff. We've done staff appreciation. We worked in the resale shop, the Hand Me Up shop. So starting his transition and then carry over from what he was doing in Austin back here to home. We had a great educational team at TSBVI. And like I said, that collaboration, that building up, that carry, the follow through from the classroom to the home is also very important. So you have that. Next slide. So again, like I'd previously mentioned, Joshua recently graduated. He had 15 in his graduation class. Beautiful, heartwarming ceremony. Due to all the hard work that everyone put in and mom put in at the very end, I was able to actually enjoy graduation. So while I miss my TSBVI family, he now has a new community that he's building up here at home. He began attending Project Beacon. Project Beacon is an ABA-based day program. And he graduated on a Thursday. He started Project Beacon that Monday. So his TSBVI team came all the way from Austin to work with them. So that transition was very smooth to see what it looks like from Austin here back to home. He is a full-time participant in their Pathways program. He goes Monday through Friday, 8:15 to 3:30, and he loves it. They go to job sites. He has a small ratio. It's 1 to 5. He goes out in the community. And again, he loves, like Gayle, like she was saying about John, he loves to go travel. He loves trains. He loves to be out in the community and bowling. So far, knock on wood, the transition from TSBVI to home has been very successful. And again, a lot of work at the last minute. We were planning on going to 1-day program. That wasn't a good fit. And so literally May 1st, right before we graduated, we switched. So that flexibility and having toured several programs in the area, he participated in the other day program for a summer. We reinvented our ESY while he was still in school. I utilized that team at TSBVI to work with me, to teach me how to work with him. So he's ready now for his next steps.
Well, yay you for the courage to get out of the boat, because sometimes it's scary. Like if we've been in one setting for a while and life is good and things are going smoothly, and the idea of what's next feels scary. There's no question that it feels scary. But the thing is what I'm hearing in between what you're saying is being having the ability to turn the knobs and adjust. Everything isn't perfect, just like in our lives. Not everything is always perfect. And sometimes we have to learn something so we can adjust and start again or what have you. So I think yay for that. And the other thing that I want to mention is that this isn't just for kids that have a disability that don't have an intellectual disability, because there's probably parents out here today that are saying, well, my kid has a intellectual disability. My child's IQ is low. And kind of fretting over that. And so I think a clear message, and you guys can chime in on this, is that we're talking for all people with disabilities, not just the quote unquote, the term that they use, high functioning, whatever the diagnosis is. I know we throw that around with autism. But there are options, and it might be volunteering, and it might be sorting, it might be bagging, and there's so many things. So I just want to say, don't be discouraged. Whatever you're facing with your loved one, don't be discouraged. And I am reminded that at a tour of Brookwood, that I went to, in the greeter at the restaurant was in a wheelchair and didn't talk, but she did a great job greeting. And that was her job. She had a job at Brookwood. And so just be aware that there are options out there.
Right, right. And utilize your teams, challenge your teams. If you're still in the school district, utilize the expertise of the individuals there. If you don't have that, then, branch out. So this is just an overview of Joshua, his travels, helping around with pet sitting, doing errands, doing shopping. We love our trains. We have to include that. And he loves going to Project Beacon every day. So it's again trying to find that right fit. That's why, like Allison had mentioned, it is very important beforehand. Start touring the day programs. Use the day programs as ESY. If you have the funding, you can do a 9-week program there while they're in between their transition period. So utilize that team, challenge them, have them step up so you do find the right fit to create this transition plan for your young adult.
So you mentioned using the school, and I think that that is a good idea. And I always just like to mention here that there are programs that are state and federally funded programs, the Workforce Commission, vocational rehab, summer earn and learn. I know John did that and with some success and really loved it. There's also Project Search when they're still in high school, but there are programs out there, and checking in with the special ed department, the guidance counselors at school. There are VR counselors that are slated to most of the public schools in Texas and a lot of the private schools. But even if your child goes to private school, or even if your child is homeschooled, there are still resources out there. Vocational rehab, that summer earn and learn, it doesn't matter where they're getting their education from. There are programs out there. We've done entire webinars on that. And then I also just want to mention that some people say, well, I haven't had a good experience with VR or summer earn and learn. It depends on your counselor. They have had a lot of turnover. But what I would say is, parents, just don't give up. Keep pursuing. If you can't get a hold of your counselor doesn't call you back, the needle isn't moving, ask to be escalated to a supervisor, ask to be reassigned to a new counselor, because I work with a lot of families that have kids with disabilities. And while I can tell you that there have been families that have had a frustrating experience, we've had a lot of families that their kids are just soaring and thriving because of the program and how much success that they had with that. So I just want to mention that as well. Gayle, tell us about Summer Earn and Learn, and John, I know it was good.
Yeah. So I had always thought it was a one-timer, but we reapplied and he got in 2 years, 2 summers in a row. Same job site. It was going to be wrench and grease under his fingernails, but nope, we didn't get that one. Too bad. And then he ended up back at Taco Cabana. And we have the world's best supervisors with Miss Ada and Miss Angie, and they are moms of, and man, they just really had him hustling. I have some pictures here to show you where this year he got some training and then he was sharing the training. So since we last talked, and I do want to comment what my friends here were sharing, is that we all have had a bad art, but we don't give up. We charm them and we show them that, boy, I'm on your team and I'm staying and we're going to work together, right? And so if you have a poor experience with some group, there's all kinds of extenuating circumstances that may have not so much to do with you, but you stick with them and you keep trying and you help them and you make the world a better place, and a rising tide lifts all boats. So yeah, it sounds cheerleader, but I mean it with my whole heart and soul. I
We
also,
had a webinar the other week, and I think she was an educational consultant, and she was really talking about the beauty of partnering with the schools. They're not our adversaries. We want what's best for the kids. They want what's best for the kids, and keeping them on the same side of the table and working together is always going to be best for the student. It's always going to be best for the stress levels of the educators as well as the parents. And so we do know that there's some situations that have unfolded that are out of that realm, and people got to do what they got to do. But the best thing is to keep on and keep working through. I come from a family of educators, and so I know how hard they work. I know how hard it is, and sometimes the tools that the educators are given, they're kind of working with both hands behind their back. So I know that that is a fact as well. So Summer Earn and Learn, I just want to mention, also known as the SEAL program, is while they're still in high school, even if they're in the 18 plus program, but they do still have to be in some type of high school learning. And then the other thing I just want to mention about the VR program, there are programs that offer job coaches and other things, and some are private pay, some are, through the VR program. There are a lot of options out there. So the whole point of vocational rehab is to close the gaps on the impediments to employment for people with disabilities so they can obtain competitive employment, not underemployment, not unemployment, but competitive employment. So that's the point of those programs. So if you haven't heard of them before, look them up. We always have people that are attending from all across the United States, not just here in Texas. VR is a program that's in every state in the United States, state and federally funded program. So you can look that up in your state as well.
Before we get to John's experience, back up, Allison. I want to talk to this, the one you just passed. Okay, no, one more back. One more back. One more back.
There we go.
Thank you. Awesome. Okay, so in making sure that Gayle's life isn't intertwined with John's life. I mean, you are linked with your kid, but also you want to break that, all right? And I want him to step in and tell me. I talked to a mom yesterday. She's got a pre-verbal. So we're talking about what other tools can your child use to empower themselves, to communicate what they want out. John will do some version of communicating it out, but it ain't pretty all the time, right? And so one day we got into and I post it, and it's tagged golf cart driver's ed. The story's right there, TikTok and Facebook for anybody that wants to. We're sharing every single thing we've learned. John, the other day, he hit Cochran's Crossing. We were going lickety split, and he said, I feel like a man. And I don't tell him what to do. He doesn't like it. I say, well, do the right thing then, right? There's only one set of rules. So it's boundaries. At the same time, it's joy and it's risk taking. And what does your child want? How do they tell you? So that's a family meeting concept. You work on that with your kid. It's not your agenda, it's their agenda. You have yours, that's your list. Gayle's got her list, but John's got his, and I'm supposed to help and support, but not boss him around. So here's some pictures. It's funny. I make it so that maybe it'll be enticing to you and to your child. Then I said, hey, John, how's your LinkedIn doing? And he goes, huh. So I had, and here's the little piece over here was the Facebook post that went along with it. So these brilliant ideas or big ideas always have work, right? So here was all the list of things we had to do to get his dumb LinkedIn set up, and he's proud of it. And some of you have linked to him and connected, so thank you very much. But I had to do some version because I couldn't just hand it to him. So this balance of support and enabling, it's your job. I'm stepping back. No, you got to do it. Who's in charge? So I'm trying to always let him be a half a step ahead of me. Whatever he's trying to communicate, is it easy? Nope. Try it with your family. Try it with your kids. Let them feel that hair on fire. Okay, Barbara.
More than likely, we're the ones that are going to have to do the adapting for them because they don't always understand how to adapt their environment. So that's why Gayle has done this with the golf cart. He cannot drive right now, but this is a good starter step to get to the next step. So we're always the ones that are going to have to adapt with our teams.
Yeah. And don't we wish we could all just cookie cutter? But you can't. That's all right. That's part of the thrill for you as a family. Right. Okay, so our version of the travel game show this summer, and it's my desire. So my life is going by fast too. Don't forget that, Mom. Don't forget that, Dad. Oh, grandma. So we did two big trips. One was a whopper, and we went to Europe. And I will tell you that so here's some pictures that should make you laugh. My intention isn't to go through each picture, but it's to say, as you look at each of these, you see independence, you see the back of his head, you see one or two times where I had to have a little come to Jesus with him on the corners of Rome. You run off without me, that's great. You want to be ahead, but you've got to turn around every once in a while and make sure that you know where I'm at. So it's this yin yang. We love the sunflower. I got a million stories. They're all posted there on Facebook. I share freely with you all. Sometimes he wasn't happy, but you know what? I got him to laugh and he laughed, and it was a great trip. I cannot stress how wonderful it is to make him uncomfortable and let him figure it out. And then I shut up and let him try to figure his version of an adaptation, right? Without me forcing it too much. Barbara, got something you want to say?
And travel is a great way to do that. I know a lot of families cannot travel. So even doing different things here locally in our hometown that might push them out, like going to the museum. Some individuals, that's very overstimulating, just that environment, the lights, the brightness. Several of our museums have wonderful sensory friendly programs. So trying something new even here, if you're not able to travel and get in the car, go to try something local.
Absolutely. And when we went to museums, I let him pick two books, and he got to carry a book in each hand, or he could put his hands in his pocket. So way back in those early days, and you're trying to do the right thing with all of this, books worked great. Next slide.
So when I think of this and I think of jobs too, all of these things matter as far as like being out, trying your hand at different places. And so let's say you did go to the museum and it was a terrible experience. It was dark, it was scary, there was too many people, it was overwhelming. The noise reverberated in the museum, which it often does. And it went poorly, but do it again. Next time, here's what we learned from this, and do it again. And then the other thing is I always think we probably all had parents that say you got to crawl before you can walk and whatever. We've heard this before. And I think that too on the jobs, on what's next. And first, am I volunteering with puppies or the shelter, where am I volunteering at? Am I volunteering at a food pantry? And am I stacking bags or boxes or other things like that? And because everything that all individuals do, they're learning from. So they're learning on how other people move around in that volunteering situation. They're learning people and different personalities and how that works, and maybe what I should do and what I shouldn't do. It's all a learning opportunity. And I always just say, let's not be Facebook parents where we're looking around at everybody else's kids and all the great things that everybody else is doing. And let's just meet our kids exactly where they are. And if that means starting slow, if that means a transition program, if that means a summer earn and learn, if that means a volunteering, and maybe we volunteer for 5 years before we're ready for a job, that is totally okay. And then I think it's about little wins and celebrating the wins. And it's not the world's wins. It's your child's wins specifically tailored to them, whether it's in education or vocation or volunteering or whatever it is, celebrating those wins and then building upon that. And I think it's really, really important because so often we are thinking as parents and what we want, and we have put our kids in situations before that they weren't ready for. They weren't mature enough. They weren't there yet. They didn't have the experience yet. And so that confidence grows when they have those little wins, and we celebrate all of those little wins, and then they feel like they have the courage to walk ahead and not be able to see mom. When they're in Rome, they feel the courage to do that. And so I think that that's really important.
And keep in mind that we've been at this, he's almost 20. All right. And if you know anything about the John and Gayle show, it's that I've always shared the vulnerabilities and the hard things and the step by step by step. And I'm even resharing Facebook memories from when he was like this tall and all the evil things that he did to me. So it scaffolds. It all builds.
Right. And it teaches flexibility and adaptability too, because when you're traveling, as Gayle knows and we know, and even when you go to a certain, say, museum or somewhere here, things can happen. It might be closed. There might be the exhibit you wanted to see is not available, or, so you've got to learn that flexibility just like you do in the workplace, or even volunteering. You may have wanted to sort that day. Oh, but we really need you to clean up the artwork section.
Yeah.
So you may not get to do the task you wanted to go and do.
And with humor. So everything that,
Yes.
we're all saying here today is on top of everything, humor. Okay. And
Right.
so here's some examples. This is last summer and this 2 summers previous, right? So what was the difference was that he did more. He got trained, then he cross-trained someone else. So as Isaac here would teach John about the dishes. So I see that picture and I say, dude, you're on KP now, right? So we're reinforcing the sweeping was last year. Oh, now you can do dirty dishes. Good. You're putting the dirties in the dishwasher. You're taking the cleans out and I've been doing the dirties, but we get to promote you here. Right. So then John's teaching Valentine over here. He taught her about the tortillas, whereas he had received information from Isaac. So everything that our kids do toward joy, and that shiny eyes, and the happiness in their face, and the spring in their walk, so back to that in helping to grease the skids with summer earn and learn vocational rehab. I'm going in and I'm doing my charm offensive. To me, pictures. So I go in and I ask, may I take your picture? Would you like a picture? I'm sending to everybody pictures I'm taking of them, right? It's just like how you work your art. You go in and you make yourself charming and you give them something that they didn't have. And then they go, oh, well, yeah, sure. Come on in because I bet you're going to take my picture and you'll make me look good and good. Come on in. Those kind of things. So, but the kids watch, they model, they see, John absorbs, he smiles. And if he sounds to me angry sometime, he's sitting next to me and he's saying something, I'll say, oh, you need to sound like a song, buddy, right? Try that again, but with the humor.
Right. Right. And they can also do little, like summer jobs that typical high schoolers do: pet sitting, getting your neighbor's mail, helping take out the trash. So it doesn't have to be a big production. It can be something as small as, oh, the neighbor's out of town. We got to watch their dogs for the week and we'll pick up their mail. And that gives them, let them, you're there, you're overseeing to make sure everything, but let them kind of lead and go through, and that gives them pride, ownership, and, a sense of purpose too.
Their
And I think
next step.
I just want to say, I think working into that too, maybe they volunteer 1 hour a week.
Mhm.
We don't have to jump in with both feet. It doesn't have to be 20
Right,
hours a week. It doesn't have to be 40 hours a week. Maybe it's a half
right,
day, maybe it's an hour. And again, meeting them where they are on that timeline of what works and what doesn't work. Because a lot of our kids do get overwhelmed when it's too much. And so kind of
right,
working up to that amount that is okay is probably better than jumping in with both feet and it being too much right off the bat. It makes it a bad experience.
When he starts to
right,
perseverate, I say, well, you can do that when you get home. Oh, no, no, no. So sometimes when he doesn't know what to do, he'll default to what he sees someone else do.
Mhm.
So then I say, okay, do you think that is going to get you that job you want at Woodson's? Or you think that will get you what you just did? I'll ask rhetorical questions. I won't answer them. That's not my job. He has to answer them to himself. So there's been a matter of the heart. I'm not going to name names because that's not my story to tell. But there's been a matter of the heart that John is growing into a version of awareness. And he yelled at me a couple of days, I want. There was something he wanted. And then I offered him a strategy because he had been working on that, scaffolding it. And then, so the first time he calls, it's an hour and, no, 1 hour, 1 hour and 17 minutes, 2 hours and 17 minutes. The second time, the phone call, it's 2 hours and 45 minutes. It's like, this is a boy that doesn't want to talk to his mother one sentence. But if they're intrinsically motivated to whatever it is in their heart, whatever it is that they want, if they don't tell you, then look for the behaviors or look for the clues. And then all I do is just give him the opportunity or help him build that. And then I shut up and back off.
Right. And like the slide brings up the point of give them time to collect their thoughts, because a lot of times they don't process things as quickly as we do. So we need to move a little bit slower. We need to, explain things in plain English, plain language that they can understand. And then take your expectations a step at a time. Don't raise the bar all the way to the top. Start at the bottom and then work your way up. But they have to want it. I agree.
Absolutely.
We
And
did a webinar with Temple Grandin, and if you don't know her, Google her. I mean, there's movies about her. She's pretty amazing. She herself is on the autism spectrum, also has a PhD, is also a professor at I believe it's the University of Colorado State University is where she's at. And one of the webinars that she had, she just she really talked about, learning from these things. Like, you talked about like they process things differently, maybe slower. They also react differently and maybe go from 0 to 1,000, 0 to really mad in 2 seconds, and learning how to process that. And Temple Grandin talked about her cry room and how she had this cry room that she would hide. It was like a boiler room that she would hide in there and cry and get it all out and then be back and ready to go. But what she talked about so intently, and it's in her books and it's in her movies, is keep showing them, keep putting opportunities in front of them, whatever they are. She talked about learning on a farm. She definitely talked about learning on a farm and how that was. And I know that there are some residential living situations that kind of have like farm like tracks that are awesome. But I think this is the things like you're talking about. They have to go through this. We can't do this for them. They have to have a cry room. They have to figure this out. And she's just a perfect example of, she was autistic when autistic wasn't known. Okay. She's in her 70s now. And to figure all of those things and to evolve and to have a PhD and an author and a professor. And she totally transformed how cattle go to slaughter in the United States. Okay. So that is an amazing mind, that her mother never gave up and kept putting these opportunities in front of her, and they kept adjusting, and look where she is today. So I'm just always encouraged by that.
and your child can grow neural pathways. They can learn just like all of us can learn because we're still alive. So there's a magic to neural pathway integration.
Exactly.
We keep working and looking for opportunities. We liaison with LEAs and groups around us, networking. Me more with community and mental health and business, and Barbara more with the government. I got the better end of that stick. And but we're just constantly trying to look for anything we can do to help the greater good. Everybody get traction. Please reach out to us. We would love to connect you with some wonderful employees. There's some technical sides. This is more Allison's wheelhouse. We're sharing our version of these difficult technical things. Do not underestimate your child. Do not underestimate the dreams of their heart, the ones that are so hidden by the hardnesses of life and their disappointments. And they look around and they say, hey, inside my heart and soul, how come that kid has that life and I don't? They never asked for this. I mean, you didn't ask for this either, right, mom and dad, grandma? But never underestimate the power of hair on fire and what they want. And however they communicate it to you, listen. It's hard. It's hard to listen, hard to slow down.
And one thing that happens is a lot of families think about, well, what if they lose benefits, or what if they work and they lose benefits, whether it is on SSI or childhood disability benefits under a parent's record. And here's what I would say. So clearly being careful on benefit counseling and things like that, Medicaid and Medicare, everybody's situation's different. And some people are getting a Medicaid waiver and they don't need to lose Medicaid, or they would lose the waiver that they waited 17 plus years to get. And that is important. So when we're thinking about our kids, I've heard of some people saying, well, we don't have him work because he gets SSI or because he gets, CDB or whatever. There are options for working and getting benefits. The first thing I want you guys to know is the Social Security Red Book talks about how working affects both programs, Title 16, which is SSI, Supplemental Security Income, and Title 2, Social Security CDB, also known as DAC, is all under Title 2. That Social Security Red Book tells you how working will affect their benefits, Medicaid, Medicare, etc. The other thing I like to mention to families is if you go on the Social Security Administration website and you type in their search box, free benefit counseling, they have subject matter experts that you can work with for free if your child is going to go to work to find out how their employment, what they can make or can't make without losing benefits. They have free benefit counseling. So be aware of that. Check that out on the Social Security Administration website. And one thing that I think of, while I know it's important not to lose a Medicaid waiver, sometimes I think, so what? If they're trying their hand at things and they're actually making more money than what they would with SSI or their CDB and they can handle it, there are 5 phases of work and it's a long period of time. There's a 9-month trial work period, and then there's an extended eligibility, which lasts over 3 years. It's like 5 to 7 years, right? So the Social Security Administration, that 5 phases of work is going to be laid out in that Social Security Red Book. And just know that if they go work tomorrow, they're not getting kicked off benefits tomorrow, okay? Because of those programs. There's also something that you should know with the Social Security Administration called Ticket to Work, where if they're in the Ticket to Work program, they don't look or count certain things during that time. So just be aware that there are paths forward to work while still getting public benefits. Okay. We do have a couple of questions. I know we've got a few more slides. How can supported employment, how can a supported employment goal be supported with my son's vocational center team? We pay heavy tuition there. So I don't know where there is, but what I would say is first off, find out if they have a VR counselor tied to that program. A lot of these transition programs are very much partnered with other programs for vocational education and jobs and volunteering opportunities. Gayle and Barbara, what do you guys think about that?
Well, I've already shared, do it like you do your art, charm offensive, get in there and make that experience with you the best one that they've got, that they're learning from you. You're an equal partner. It's not going to be gifted to you. There's nothing in this world where somebody else is going to take over and fix it for you. So just prepare yourself for the joy of being a partner and get at it.
They can request a VR counselor for their program. And furthermore, vocational rehab, you could go on the website and say, start my VR. If you're in Texas, start my VR, and it'll take you through the process. So yes, you can connect through VR or summer earn and learn through the school and through your guidance counselors and through the counselor that's assigned to the school. But you can also do it on your own. I mean, if I know school's about to go back in session, but we've been out for the summer, so you'd be hard pressed to be doing this from June until now. But you can go and start your VR right on the website and follow those links. And you can also encourage the school and the board or that your school is in to partner with VR or other programs that might help vocationally and kind of moving them into jobs. I have toured a lot of places, both you know, quote unquote ISS or transition programs, also formerly called day programs and stuff like that. And many of them are already partnered and already doing big things. And I can also say that some of them are knocking the cover off the ball. Like they're awesome and they're not connected with VR. They've got their own program rolling so good that that's what they're doing. So you might want to check that out and look a little bit further. So we've got a few more pictures here. I love all of this. Look at all this.
Oh, and one more thing, they need to go back and look at the contract that they signed. More than likely, if you're private pay as well, you signed a contract and there should be certain obligations that fall under that contract that is owed to you, expectations that you're supposed to have and expectations you're supposed to have of the facility to give you the services. So go back and review what you're actually paying for.
For sure. One more question. a person said, I need more information about visual impairment and intellectual disability. And Barbara, I know that that's kind of right up your
Yeah.
alley. Do you have some advice? And I know that they can reach out to you directly as a parent to a visually impaired child, adult child. What would you say to that?
Well, it's kind of broad because, again, each person's visual impairment is different as to how they process and what their needs are. It's also going to depend on the age as to what services are available to them. So, yes, they're welcome to reach out to me. Joshua is developmentally delayed and is about like a 6-year-old. He does not read or write. So in that, we have struggled with a lot of that and adaptation and redoing materials. Obviously, the best experts in the world. I can't say enough about TSBBI, Texas School for the Blind. Their outreach team serves the entire state of Texas, whereas the comprehensive program that Joshua was a part of, that served through your school district in partnership with TSBBI. So it's going to depend on
Hold
several
on.
factors.
That's
Yeah,
a lot of words. And when we're saying TSBVI, a lot of people here are here in private school. And this is through the state of Texas, and TSBVI is commonly covered through the state of Texas. So
correct.
some people might be sitting here thinking, well, we can't afford that
Okay.
or whatever, but
It's a public school, so it's funded by the House of Representatives and only gets a majority of its funding through your TEA funding that your local school district gets. It is a partnership with your local school district and just like Texas School for the Deaf and those specialty schools. So they are state funded, they are state public schools. They do operate as their own independent school districts to a certain extent.
awesome. Thank you for sharing
Mhm.
that. This is such a perfect example. All these pictures of the different things that John is trying his hand at. I love this so much. I can't stop looking at all these pictures. That's a
I
lot.
know.
You can do it
He's
too.
a
Try
busy
it.
guy.
Try it, Mom,
The
Dad.
the main
Mom.
thing is that you can do it and keep trying. Keep trying. Might not get
Right.
it right the first time,
Let
but
your
the
kid
second time
lead.
we learned, the third time
Right.
we even got better. So I think that that's the cool thing.
John hates it when I lead, so I got to work, make it him think he's in charge.
There you go.
So here's some things about developmental delay, communication, what they want, how they get it, where are they in developmental pathways. Lots of words. You know where to find Barbara. You know where to find me. You know where to find Allison. We would do anything we could to help you as you help your kid. Keep your own life in mind, because tick, 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 it is your life too. Um,
Right.
and you may not be the doer that I am. Okay, I'll put that caveat there.
You're you are like the queen bee of doers. You are. And if you guys haven't followed her Facebook, you should, because there's lots of good ideas that come out. But one thing that you said is that you did I think of balance. I always talk to parents about having balance because this is the marathon, not the sprints. We're in it for the long haul. We have kids with disabilities that are going to have care needs the rest of our life. They don't sail off into the sunset and then get married and do everything that everybody else does. They might live with us for a long time. We might be providing caregiving services for them for a long time. And what we know is that a lot of parents put their kids first and they don't always take into consideration the respite needs that they have, that health, paying attention to health issues or things like that. And our health can decline because we're so busy being caregivers to our family. So there's got to be some balance in that. So even if your kids are going to live with you till the day you die, have some respite, have some built in, have them volunteering, have them at some day programs a couple of days a week, even if it's for a few hours. So that way that you have some balance and some semblance of the retirement or the day that you want to have, and that it isn't all consumed with everything as it relates to your loved one with a disability.
We have a
Balance.
Right.
daily
Right.
family meeting. John has a daily list, and then we have a daily goof off. He might want to know my list. We'll go over his list, and then I zip it and back off, and he's got to figure it out because my nagging is not going to make him do it better.
Right. Right. And as Allison had mentioned, to not only check out the day programming, to check out residential by starting to just do a camp. I know John has gone to summer camps. Joshua's gone to many camps. Even while attending a residential school, majority of the school year, obviously he lived in Austin more than he lived with us in Houston. He was with the staff more than he was with us, but that was a step up. We started at a day, he was just a day student in their summer program. Then he did a week in the summer program. So it was baby steps even to get into that program. And I know Down Home Ranch does weekend respite camps. I'm not sure what other camps do that. I think camp, but
We've
there are
done
weekend
a
respite
couple of
camps.
webinars with camps,
Yes,
kind of like a
yes,
speed dating with camps on who they serve, where they're located, what they do, that kind of thing. So you'll check that camp website, the
yes,
camp webinar out on the Consolidated Planning Group YouTube channel. And the other thing I would say about camps is they fill up quickly. They usually open up
yes.
around February, and by April, you're probably too late. So plan early, know which camps you want to know, find out when their applications open and when they close. And I also want to mention when we think of camps, we think of kids under age 18. Yes, there are many camps for people with disabilities under age 18, but there are also many adult camps for people with disabilities as well. So keep that in mind. And we've not had any families go and send their kids to these camps where the kids came back and said, I hated that. They all
And
liked it and they all
and
had a good time.
another option on some of the camps, at least the one that John's been favoring, is that he can become a worker there.
Right, right. And they can come back and help as counselors, counselor aides, counselors themselves. And like Marbridge, I know their camp is geared towards residential in the future. So Joshua just did a week at Marbridge this past summer, looking to live there residential 3 to 5 years down the road.
Yes,
So that's
awesome.
become ever more comfortable. So,
Yep,
if I
yep.
was going to say anything to any fellow parent, is that live your life. Don't forget it's your life going by too. Find your balance. It's this is way goes way back to Amelioda back in the day. Is that here's all of my resources, power, money, whatever. I'm going to do everything I can with half of that to help him do what he needs to do, and I'm going to love him as he is with the other half of my everything.
Right, right. Does anyone have any questions for us, Gayle, I, or Allison? You'll get all the slides like Allison had mentioned. So if we didn't touch on, there's a lot of information in there that you can go back and look at.
Because we share the slides, we knew that there wouldn't be enough time to get through all of the slides that we had today, but we shared all of them because we plan to share them with everybody, so everybody will get a copy of that. We've got the contact information up here. One person said, "How do you find employers for individuals with IDD who are referred by VR that are open to considering applications and even hiring? I am an employment specialist in Collin County. This encompasses McKinney, Plano, Allen, Frisco, Prosper, Salina, Wiley. Starter job companies aside from bus or dishwasher, aisle stocker would be appreciated. These individuals are 18 to 25. I think of organizations. I want to just mention this. We have had families that we have worked with that their adult disabled child with profound intellectual disabilities retired from HEB, retired from Kroger. There are a lot of companies out there that are known for working with people with disabilities. I know that Dr. J. Cherie Ellis started the Disability Chamber in Houston. I'm not sure if there's one in Dallas, but that there is basically a chamber for people with disabilities. So I just wanted to mention those things as well. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
I think
So I
it's
know
face
that
to face. You have to go face to face to each employer, knock on the doors, speak to the people there, and try and build those relationships. I'm
we
sorry, Gayle, go ahead.
no, you're right. So there's a young man that's doing something in Dallas. Jay Shrie's still got a team, although she's down in Corpus with doing doctor work now. And I agree with Barbara. That's been everything that's in John's life has been wherever we go, we talk. And then we have some coaches. John needs men, so it's always a male coach that jumps in on that because John's desperate for manhood. And we go and we talk to the people that we see and know us. right? And so you got to figure out the win-win. And none of this is easy. I hate to say it, but it takes shoe leather. And we don't stop trying. And if you got a kid, you're not going to stop trying either. So we're
That's
in this
right.
together. And that's why we do the monthly Zooms. Please come. Anything Allison's got to touch to, Barbara or myself. This is always about continuing to build the village. People make a joke about, well, where do you find the village? You have to make
Yeah,
You have to build it. You have to build
that's
it.
right.
All right, guys. Well, what you see on the screen right now, we have a link for our upcoming webinars and any of the upcoming topics that we have. We do work on a collaborative team here at CPG. We're happy to introduce our new SSI, SSDI advocacy and application support service. So if we've got someone who needs to apply for benefits and you need some help and support with that, we have a team for that here at CPG. We launched that this year. They've been asking us to do it for 10 years. So we finally did that. So this is Jessica Alvarez, and we'll be happy to work with you on that. This is just, if you've attended before, you've seen this in the past. We work on a collaborative team here. We're working on this a new slide because we have 4 additional team members that need to be
Wow.
fitted on this slide. So anyway, we're growing here at CPG. We do work on a collaborative team. We work together. So we always like to share that. And this QR code, if you hover your camera over this, when you get the email with the slides or now, this will take you to a calendar where you can schedule your free personalized consultation to talk to us a little bit further about the planning that you've done so far. Some people come to us because they want a second opinion or look under the hood. They've done a lot of planning. Some people are just getting started, and some people just need to pick up where they left off. Wherever you are in the journey, it's not about looking back, it's about looking forward, and we can definitely help you with that. So that's the QR code there. One thing I do want to mention is when you register for webinars with Consolidated Planning Group, it'll ask you if you are okay with communication. If you say no, that is completely fine and we respect that, but you will not get a copy of the slides or a link to the recording because if you ask us not to contact you, we absolutely aren't. So if people say, well, I never got the recording or I never got the slides, if you said no in the beginning, that's why. If you email us, we'll send them to you. But then next time, whenever you register, just know that's how you're going to ensure that you're going to get a copy of the slides and the link to the recording. And furthermore, we also mentioned that you might want to check your spam folder. If you don't get it by the end of the day or by the morning the next day, check your spam folder and let us know. Thanks everyone for being here. Thanks for the questions. And as always, Gayle and Barbara, you guys are an inspiration to us and others, and we love what you're doing in the community. And so please feel free to reach out to Gayle or Barbara. They're happy to talk. And like we said at the beginning, no monopoly on good ideas. They're happy to share. So thanks, guys. I hope you have a wonderful afternoon, and we'll look forward to connecting with everybody again soon. Bye now.
Thank you.